How's it going? I'm Dr. Matt. So today I'm going to talk about movement and exercise. And this is a topic we've definitely covered before, but I'm going to try to talk about it in a little different way. Try to bring to light some of the effects of not moving. And so I'm going to start out with a couple definitions. Movement is an active change in physical location or position, or of having this changed. Exercise is the activity requiring physical effort carried out to sustain or improve health and fitness. So both are important, but they're fundamentally different. And so, I thought this was another topic to talk about, because every week, for the, last few months, almost since coronavirus started, people have been working from home. I would say at least once or twice a week, get a patient coming in with their main complaints starting a few months after getting, sent home. They've been working at desks that they're not used to, didn't think they'd be working at very long, poor posture. And so why is movement so important? And I'm going to use the word, movement is important because of creep. And so I'm not talking about, somebody looking in your window. I'm talking about creep, in the capacity of, the body. So creep is the capacity of fascia and other tissue to lengthen when subjected to a constant tension load, resulting in less resistance to a second load application. This leads to progressive deformation, that occurs over time. So simply put, human tissue under a low load over sustained periods of time will deform permanently if it's not changed to reverse the load or relieve it. And so this happens, all across America every single day. People are sitting at their desk without changing posture, sitting on the couch watching a movie without changing posture. So a study looked at the static flexion of the lumbar spine in a cat. So essentially being flexed forward like this in a cat. So they looked at it at 20 minutes and 50 minutes. So they found at both markers that it resulted in creep of the supraspinatus ligament, which is ligaments connecting kind of the bony part that you feel in the back of your neck. Those are your spine's processes. So ligaments connecting each one of those slowly started to creep and lengthen. And the development of spasms in the muscles around that, and the inhibition of the multifidus muscle, which is muscles kind of deep in the spine, help with posture and and a lot of sensory stuff. This is essentially a sprain-like injury. So if you ever heard of somebody spraining an ankle, knee, that's changing the length of those ligaments, damaging it. And that's essentially, we're doing that on a smaller scale to our bodies every day. And so most of us probably won't purposely go out and sprain our spine, but if we sit without taking breaks during the day, that's what we're doing. This is kind of one of the reasons too where so many people hurt themselves on the weekend. They've been sitting down all week, slowly shutting off those muscles in the back, changing the way the tissue is, and then they go out, start gardening, start doing yard work. They bend forward, the body, those muscles are shut off, the muscles are spasmed, the ligaments are stretched, and they're more susceptible to injury that way. So how do we prevent creep? This brings us back to our definition at the beginning of the talk: an active change in physical location or position, movement. That's how we prevent creep. Our body needs to move. We need to change position often, relieve that stress on our tissues. So try to move every 15 minutes, because you saw at 20 minutes in the study, they were already showing changes to the tissue. So around 15 minutes, try to move some way, shape, or form. It doesn't have to be a huge movement. It could be something as simple as crossing your leg this way. Next 15 minutes, you cross your leg this way. Slide up on your chair, slide back in your chair. Ideally, we could be getting up and stretching, but it doesn't have to be huge movements. In our office, we talk a lot about micro breaks, which are simple, just stretching the spine in the opposite direction. If you heard the definition of about creep, it's the damage that happens to the tissue if we do not relieve it or change posture. And so most of us, this is the position we take all day. This would be relieving it, getting in the opposite direction. Gym ball is a great way to change. Get small movements into the spine during the day. That way you can bounce on it. You're always shifting position. Sit to stand desks are great for changing the posture during the day, making sure we're getting plenty of opposite movements. If you're sitting on the couch on one side, get up and switch the sides of the couch. If you're sitting on one side, you're leaning on one armrest, use the other armrest. A great book that has a lot of resources about this topic is Deskbound. That's a book we've talked about before. Has a lot of different examples. You can flip through it. Has a lot of pictures and a lot of easy explanations of how to change position, little things that you can do during the day. A lot of ways you can roll out muscles and stuff. So that's a great resource. It's not very expensive, definitely worth the money. So now that we kind of talked about, movement, which is important, time to add in a little exercise. This is the time of year where a lot of people start getting more active. Exercise is, like we said earlier, is an activity requiring physical effort carried out to sustain or improve health and fitness. So for most people, moderate exercise doesn't mean we have to go do hill sprints. Moderate exercise is simply getting to a state where you're breathing a little heavier than normal. You should, you can still carry out a conversation, so you don't have to be so winded that you can't talk, but you have elevated rate of breathing. Our body feels warm but not hot. We maybe have a light sweat going, but we don't have to be pouring sweat. For most of us, this is going for a brisk walk. Maybe going up and down the stairs a few times in the house. Couple things to try this summer. Weather's starting to get nice. We live in a beautiful area. We have a lot of things available to us. Kayaking, paddleboarding, great ways to start getting some simple moderate exercise. Swimming, biking, tennis, pickleball has really been picking up around the country. Pretty easy to bring, pretty easy to start playing. Fairly easy on the body. And then brisk walking. Brisk walking has a lot of benefits and all. If you look at some of the studies, the slower the walk, usually your mortality rate increases. So the faster you walk, usually the longer you'll live. Just talking about exercise, a few points in favor of exercise. One, strengthens the cardiovascular system. The vessels need to dilate, and constrict, dilate. So you'll put extra stress on the vessels by exercising, strengthen them. It'll regulate the fuel the body makes. Regulate the fuel in the body, make it more efficient. An example of this would be after exercise, our bodies are more sensitive to insulin. Insulin what takes sugar out of the blood. So for a lot of us, as we age, we become less able to use our insulin, and so exercise will help us be more sensitive to that, help get our body more efficient that way. Reduces obesity. It elevates the stress threshold, so it combats the effects of too much cortisol, which a lot of us are under a lot of stress. Makes proteins help fix damaged cells. Exercise will help lift your mood. You'll release neurotransmitters and neurotrophins during exercise. These will help elevate your mood. It boosts immune function. Exercise will fortify your bones. By age 60, about 30% of a woman's bone mass has disappeared. And so that's where a lot of people will recommend resistance type training, trampoline, help build that body. Build the bone density in the body. 8, boosts motivation. And 9, it fosters neuroplasticity. Simply saying that it improves the brain function, allows you to make more connections in the brain. You get a lot of neurotransmitters and everything released while you exercise. This allows you to go, improve your learning, remember, execute higher thought processes, and imagine emotions better. So the takeaway from this talks are, movement and exercise are not the same, but we need both. Come up with a plan of how to get both into your life, and don't creep, move. About every 15 minutes, try to change and relieve your posture. Dr. Lexi's going to take it from here.